Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're looking at a fascinating collision between the absolute highest highs of international sports and the strict, unyielding world of global sports law. Just imagine the scene for a second. It's the 2026 World Cup. Argentina has just secured a massive, incredibly emotionally charged semifinal victory over England in Atlanta. The final whistle blows, the players are ecstatic, they are heading to the final, but almost immediately, that euphoria gets completely overshadowed by a geopolitical controversy that triggers a formal disciplinary investigation. So how exactly does a post-match celebration turn into a massive legal case study? Okay, let's dive into this.
To really understand this, we're going to follow a four-part legal structure. We'll start with the semifinal banner incident, then we'll look inside FIFA's disciplinary code, review the 2014 Slovenia precedent, and finally wrap up with the expected disciplinary verdict. All right, Section 1, the semifinal banner incident. Let's establish exactly what went down on the pitch. Following that victory over England, right in the middle of the widespread celebrations on the field, a physical banner was produced and displayed by members of the Argentine squad. The exact text on this banner read, "The Falkland Islands are Argentine." Breaking down the hard facts of the incident as they were reported, this took place immediately after the 2026 World Cup semifinal in Atlanta, and specifically it was against England, which is a detail that heavily contextualizes the geopolitical weight of the message here. Now, the official reports that trigger these kinds of investigations rely on clear visual evidence. Among the players clearly identified holding the banner were Christian Cuti Romero and Giovanni Lo Celso, though it's definitely noted that several other members of the squad participated in this specific celebration on the pitch too. For fans, seeing your star players involved is exactly what makes an investigation like this so nerve-wracking. The core action under review here is the display of a political banner during official sanctioned celebrations. Moving right along to Section 2, inside FIFA's disciplinary code. Let's see what the rulebook actually says. Now, what's really interesting about this is how we have to transition entirely away from the roaring emotions of a World Cup semifinal and step right into the cold, clinical text of the rules. The governing statute for this formal investigation is the FIFA Disciplinary Code, specifically the September 2025 edition. Now, this isn't just a loose set of guidelines. This is the comprehensive legal framework that dictates global sporting neutrality. It's the absolute standard that every single member association, player, and official agrees to abide by the second they step onto a FIFA-sanctioned pitch. Deep within that code, we find the exact definition of the violation being investigated. Article 13, which covers offensive behavior and violations of the principles of fair play, specifically notes in Section 2, letter C, using a sports event for demonstrations of a non-sporting nature. FIFA's fundamental stance here is that their competitions must remain entirely free from non-sporting expressions. It literally does not matter what the sporting outcome was or how incredibly high the emotions were running. The pitch is deemed a strict, uncompromising, neutral zone. So the crucial point is how broadly and strictly FIFA defines these non-sporting demonstrations. If we look at Article 17, which is all about governing order and security at matches, Section 2, letter E, provides a very clear list of prohibitions. Teams and associations are strictly forbidden from transmitting messages that are political, ideological, religious, or offensive in nature. The rule is basically designed to be a blanket ban to prevent the stadium from becoming a platform for literally anything other than the sport itself. The banner displayed in Atlanta clearly falls under the umbrella of a political or ideological message. But how does FIFA actually punish these violations? Well, Article 6 of the code leaves out a fascinating distinction that's absolutely critical to this case. They separate the targets of discipline into two distinct categories. First, you have natural persons, which means the individual players or officials. They face sporting sanctions, meaning things like actual match suspensions or bans from the dressing room. Second, you have legal persons, like the Argentine Football Association itself. They face administrative measures, such as financial fines, point deductions, or playing behind closed doors. This distinction is everything when we're trying to figure out what happens next. Let's move to Section 3, the 2014 Slovenia match precedent, where we look at the historical case law. And this brilliantly illustrates how FIFA has handled this before, because we don't even have to guess. We have a nearly identical case study from over a decade ago. In a 2014 international friendly between Argentina and Slovenia, Argentine players displayed a banner on the pitch. The message? Exactly the same. The Falkland Islands are Argentine. Compare that directly to the 2026 World Cup semifinal in Atlanta. Sure, the stage in 2026 is vastly larger, and obviously the opponent being England makes the context much sharper, but the physical action and the exact wording of the message are completely identical in the eyes of the disciplinary code. So what was the verdict in that 2014 precedent? The FIFA Disciplinary Committee issued a financial fine of approximately $38,000. And crucially, this fine was not levied against the individual players holding the banner. It was imposed directly on the legal person we just discussed, the Argentine Football Association.
Most importantly for the squad, and obviously the fans watching at home, the 2014 ruling resulted in exactly 0 player suspensions. The individual players were spared from those sporting sanctions. No match bans were handed down whatsoever. The punishment was entirely administrative and financial, absorbed by the association itself. Finally, Section 4, the expected disciplinary verdict. Let's break down the projected fallout. Let's move to the procedural timeline and see how this builds toward an outcome. This isn't an overnight decision, folks. Step 1 requires FIFA to officially notify the Argentine Federation that disciplinary proceedings have begun based on the match officials' reports. Step 2 is a legal window. The AFA gets a specific period to submit their official response, present their side of the story, and offer any supporting arguments regarding the incident in Atlanta. Only after that whole process is complete do we reach Step 3, where the FIFA Disciplinary Committee issues their final binding ruling. So, based on current reports and our analysis of both the rulebook and that 2014 precedent, here is the projected fallout. The most likely outcome is a financial fine imposed directly on the AFA. Why? Because under Article 6.5 of the Disciplinary Code, member associations are held jointly liable for the actions of their representative teams. The association bears the ultimate responsibility for maintaining order and adhering to the code. Consequently, despite the fact that the regulations technically allow for match suspensions, experts and current reports suggest that seeing players like Romero or Lo Celso banned from upcoming matches is considered highly unlikely. The precedent strongly points toward the association taking a financial hit rather than the players taking a sporting one. Which brings us right back to the core tension at the heart of this entire analysis. When players wrap themselves in their country's flag, it's celebrated, right? But when they hold up a banner addressing a territorial dispute, it triggers international disciplinary action. So I leave you to ponder this. Where exactly does the line get drawn between a team celebration of national pride and a violation of strict sporting neutrality? It's a hugely complex intersection of sports and geopolitics, and how FIFA rules here will absolutely set the standard for every World Cup celebration to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.